feel hungover.
We'll do. Oh, really? Or just tired?
Yeah, no, I'm not hungover. Yeah, I didn't drink last night. I'm just tired. It's weird.
Bridget's always in here before I even flip over to the chat. It makes me so happy that I flip over and I'm like, hey girl, hey baby. Arya and I were talking about, we were regrouping this morning and he was like, I thought you've known Bridget for like years. And I was like, no, just in the internet. Just
on the internet.
Knowing you for years. All right, I'm live on TikTok whenever you're ready.
Okay. I am going to do that in a second here. Just going to run a quick ad on my channel. Okay. And you're on TikTok. Oh, I should probably get my phone for that.
Why am I so dark today?
You have a light off or something in the book?
Yeah, let me go turn on another light. It's just gloomy today. Today is like very gray out here.
It's gray, but the weather is so nice. I went out there with a t-shirt.
I just my 3-year-old this morning isn't in school because school's closed today. So things have been in a little bit of chaos this morning. And she was like, I would like to she's like just running around the house, like in her undies. And she's like, I want to go outside. And I was like, we're going to put clothes on. She's like, no, I'm ready to go outside. And I was like, all right, fine. So I took her out in her coat and her little shoes. And I was like, the neighbors are going to think that we're the weird neighbors. Like we're absolutely the weird neighbors. So I'm running around outside in my pajamas. And that's what we've been up to. Because, yeah, it's freakishly warm right now. I was like, if I open the door, she won't want to go outside. But she did indeed want to go outside. So that's the morning that we've been having.
Absolutely.
Good morning.
I am in the waiting room in TikTok, I think.
You're in the waiting room? Hold on.
I think, possibly. Yeah, it says
there you are.
Guest request set.
Hold on, let me invite you.
You're the best.
There we go.
Nice. Hello.
Let me turn you down. Yeah, it's like 45 degrees here right now. It's crazy. 50 degrees. It's 54 degrees.
I was going to say, it felt like 60, almost like 60 when I went outside. Because I'm like, I love wearing, I'm a shorts guy, like I love wearing shorts. And when it gets wintertime, it becomes very disappointing. I can still survive with shorts, but people give me like the side eye and stuff. It's like kind of it's like a societal shaming.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can see you being the guy that like people take videos of you being like, look at this fucking guy walking around in January in New Hampshire. Who does this dude think he is? Like, I would make a video making fun of you.
For sure. And I would see a video of myself and adamantly defend myself that I am get very warm out in these streets. But no, I mean, like, so any chance I get to like actually be able to wear shorts and be happy about it. And that's like, it's nice out, it's that warm out right now.
Yeah, I'll take it. What are you up to for the holiday?
Nothing. We usually, so my parents, they recently, they've been living in like the same apartment complex as I had been, like, like 10 minutes or like a 10-minute walk from me. And they recently bought a house. So in this period of time when they had the apartment, we were always just like, as a family or like, they would always be traveling. And this is the first Thanksgiving in a while where like people are coming here. And that was like a kind of like a byproduct, something of like my upbringing that, again, it was like a privilege to be able to have like a house where it was like a location where our friends and family would always want to come to. So it became like part of your core memory bank of like growing up in this house with all this love around. And we lost a little bit of that because we're all in apartments. It's tough out there, I'm still in an apartment. So it's nice to kind of have a home base again where like we have our cousins and some other family members coming by and spending time together. What about you?
So nice. That's so nice when you can get all those people in one place too. We're going up to Maine. We're very lucky that I have an aunt and uncle who thrive on Thanksgiving, and it's like their Super Bowl. And so we will be going up to Brunswick. That's where or a lot of my family is from. And we've got a hotel. We're going to just like make a little journey of it and just have some fun, get out of the house for a little bit. So that's our plan.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we got school closed for a few days. So we're going to try to keep my kiddo busy. I was just saying, if you hear screaming in the background, it's because it's time to take a shower, and that is not my problem right now.
And it was so
I love
nice
going to the
to see you yesterday, to see Emily, to see. I mean, we were just talking off camera a little bit about how inspiring some of your guests were. I thought. I know a bunch of people. Bridget, you were there. It was so nice meeting you. Um, and it was just, I sense you're this like kind of like me where you have built up kind of this tolerance and this filter of like talking to so many different people from so many walks of life, and you can sense when someone's being performative and when they're not, and when they like love, like they actually truly care about it. And that's the sense that I got from your guests. So if you want to tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a live show last night at Auspicious Brew. I see Pat Lynch in the chat too. Pat was there. Thanks for coming. And also, Pat, I realized, okay, sorry, just as an aside, after these things, I have to I have to intentionally not like overthink every single conversation I had, because I have like so many conversations with people, and my brain, as I'm like lying there falling asleep, is like, think about all the weird things you did. What did you do that probably rubbed people the wrong way? Like, I have to stop myself from doing that. But one of those thoughts last night was, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even talk to Pat's wife. She came in later than Pat, and I like barely even said hi to her, and she's lovely. So Pat, send my regards to your wife, because I didn't get to chat with her last night, and tell her it was haunting me as I was falling asleep. So last night was great. Yeah, we had, it's a holiday week. It was a little bit of a smaller crowd, but it was a really good conversation. I'll shout out the organizations that we talked to as well. Basically, the idea of the episode was, we started planning it around the time that there was, talks about SNAP cuts, and everyone was kind of talking about like what's available, what kind of resources are available to support people. And while obviously like SNAP was paid out this month in New Hampshire, there's still an incredible amount of food insecurity. And I think this was like a veil drop moment where a lot of people really kind of tuned into the reality of what's happening with a lot of folks in New Hampshire who are food insecure right now, or experiencing food insecurity. So, and please tell me if there's a screaming child that you can hear. I think I'm probably fine, but tell me if I need to go on mute.
No, you're fine.
But
Yeah.
basically, cool. So we chatted with a couple of different people. The first guest was, there's a group called SOS Recovery, and they're based out of Somersworth, and they do a lot of different things to support people who are in recovery. One of those things is they have a restaurant that they own, and it's called the Folded Diner. And they support a lot of people who are in recovery, a lot of people who are coming out of incarceration, maybe aren't able to get jobs other places. And we interviewed, now I'm going to forget, Mark Siegel is his name, Chef Mark Siegel. And he is like very like highly regarded. He's worked at some of the best restaurants, not only in New Hampshire, but like he's worked in LA, he's worked in Boston, New York, he's been everywhere. And now he's working at a diner and like teaching people how to like doing this workforce development stuff to support people who really need that kind of help. And it was amazing to talk to him, because when you work in kitchens your whole life, you see a lot, right? Like there's a lot of people who are struggling, who are working in kitchens. And so for him to be able to sort of refocus his entire career to be focusing on supporting those people and helping them was really special. So if you live in the Somersworth area, check out Folded Diner. They're awesome. They also have a pay it forward board, which one of the themes throughout the night that sort of was coming up was like, speaking to your point about being performative, one of the themes was sort of, how do you do these types of things that that feed people while also like maintaining privacy and like dignity, and so they were talking about how they have this pay it forward board, and it's not like in the front of the restaurant, they have it like in the back of the restaurant, so people can just go grab a little ticket and just put it on their table and get like go out and have a nice meal with their family. And I just think that like that level of care is something that I think a lot of people have considered, but I hadn't, right? Like this is a new space for me, and I hadn't really been thinking about some of the nuance of it. So I learned a lot in these conversations. So that was the first one. We had Marie from Cultivate New Hampshire. Cultivate New Hampshire is the group that hosts the BIPOC Fest and Pharmacue, which are two like really massive, incredible community events that pull in a lot of culinary threads from all over the state. And they're also currently doing a lot of work specifically just in social media regarding like amplifying what resources are available and putting together resource guides. So they spoke about that. So follow them on Instagram as well, Cultivate NH. And then our final guest was Red's Good Vibes, which they have such a cool story. They're basically just like, they're a food truck that is entirely free. So you walk up to them, there's like no money exchanged, nobody pays. It's not like you can ask for a free meal, nobody pays. And just the way that they all kind of think about this experience for people who, it was just, all of it has been designed in such a thoughtful way. It was really inspiring. Reds is also working on a project that I wanted to mention here for anybody listening. Reds is working on a community fridge project where a lot of times if you want to get a community fridge set up, there's a lot of red tape. There is like legal stuff, there's insurance you need, there's all these kind of barriers that they throw at you. And what Reds does is they're a nonprofit. And so they say, we'll take on the risk. We'll help you with breaking down a lot of those barriers. That way you can get whatever this food distribution that you're trying to do, you can get that set up. And they're very eager to support more people in those efforts. And so if you have ever been interested in learning more about community fridges, if you've ever been like, maybe that's something that I would want to do in my community or something similar, reach out. They have their website. You can just find them online, Red's Good Vibes, and they have a section of their website where you can fill out a form, and they want to just help get as much food into the hands of people as possible. So it was really, really good night. A lot of our friends from here showed up, which was awesome. It's always nice to see our TikTok friends in person as well. And Kayla, if you can, I can't do it while I'm sharing, but I'll try to remember. I'll try to get back to it after we're done. So yeah, great night and really glad to see you there. Glad to see Bridget was there. We had Pat there as well. We saw Annie, who was like, I don't know, she's not usually in here during the day, but Annie was there, which was great as well. So it was a really fun night, and it was kind of a nice tone to like go out into the long weekend on.
Yeah, I agree. I got to meet a few people too simultaneously. I always love going out to Auspicious Brew and supporting that place too. The first thing I do when I walk in is just check out the artwork that's on the right, like right behind you guys, and it changes every time I'm there. So I like look forward to like the next time I'm there. It's always some like an ode to like the community or to a certain topic or something. So and appreciate you guys, man, like because this is, I know it takes time. You guys put in the work. You guys, it's a lot easier to do a podcast at home, like, but you guys are going out there. You guys are doing it. You guys are meeting some inspiring people. And I just, these are all the connective parts of what I think ultimately what we see as like this kind of living organism that is New Hampshire Talks, right? It's like all these, we think of like very obvious parts of it, and there are parts of it that are kind of not so obvious. They're latent, and they're things that you can do. Like the fridge ideas just got my mind going now. Like it's like
Right.
it's opened up a part of like a potential that I never even considered. And that's something that I really appreciate about these events. And yeah, definitely check out. I'm gonna go check out. I've been telling myself I'm gonna go check out the Folded Community Diner too, because I had to look up Mark Siegel because I'm not a foodie, like I'm not gonna lie about that. I don't know much about food, but I went to look him up because this guy, he was like, he had some game up there. You had the sense that this guy was, and lo and behold, yeah, this guy's like a world renowned chef, and he's here doing it, in New Hampshire, in Somersworth, which the first time I've heard of that town too. I'm not gonna lie, in New
I know.
Hampshire.
I haven't been yet. I was gonna try to go this week before the podcast, but like I really want to go because I bet you that man makes the best fucking diner breakfast you've ever had in your life. You know what
Easily,
I mean? Like yeah, absolutely.
easily.
Pat, thank you. Pat says every auspicious pod raises the bar from the last for sure. That means a lot because you have, I think, been at all of them, and so that I really appreciate it. So yeah, we're gonna keep it going into the new year, and it's different than what we're doing here, right? Like I think with that focus, Kayla, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think a lot of the stuff that we're doing on NH Talk tends to focus on politics, but at the same time, like we really are trying to like bring all of these communities together. And I think sometimes this like culinary community isn't as connected into like the politics world, and so it's interesting to see all of these different like active communities and like how do we start pulling these folks together. And so that's certainly something that you and I have been talking about a lot as we head into the winter. But yeah, what else? I feel there's a couple things I want to talk today. We can finish let's finish the Free State series.
Uh-huh.
But also you had a couple videos last night that were popping off and I felt like it was good. And I said I was going to prep for this episode and I just did not because I don't know what I was thinking. I don't have childcare this morning, so I don't know who I thought I was going to be coming here with.
Well, it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. You know what they say about that day. It's like a big, I mean, if there was if you could like pick a day to create like a, traffic jam of a day, it's that day. And then there's a lot of drink. It's like the biggest drinking day in the country, isn't it? Like the day before Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's a myth.
Blackout Wednesday, I've heard. Yeah,
absolutely.
I've heard.
So this is acceptable.
Anyway,
we'll allow it today, Marissa. The content police are not woo-wooing today. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate your consideration. But no, I thought the videos you were doing last night about housing were a really nice conversation to bring us into the Thanksgiving holiday, as we all have conversations with people who are not as well versed in what's happening as we are. So let's chat some of the housing numbers. I was screenshotting your video last night because I was like, I need to remember this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to chat about that? Also, I did want to, the only other thing too, is I wanted to shout out, we've got like some new friends that have joined on TikTok. So I'm going to start pulling some of that up so I can share it as well.
Yeah. So how do you want to do the Free State stuff first and then talk about the other stuff, or do you want to talk about this? It's up to you. I'm going to let you pick it.
Let's talk about the other stuff. Let's do the other stuff first and then go to Free State last.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did a TikTok on Free State too, which it's crazy, man. Like the Free State content I was telling you, people know, like outside of New Hampshire, they know about the Free State too. They do not have a good rep anywhere. So, I mean, it's just natural hate. I've seen very little talking back against the stuff. But yeah, talking about the housing stuff, right? I say regularly, and let me see if I can pull stuff up here. I'm not a housing expert by any means. Like I didn't grow up into housing or anything like that, but it became a very important issue to me because of New Hampshire. Like as New Hampshire, it's the number one issue by far. It's 5 times more important than anything else to the New Hampshire voter. Now, when you talk about housing, it's so complicated too. Yeah, absolutely. In polling,
that's
I don't know.
Good stat.
I'm not sure for what year. I mean, don't quote me on the year, but that's a recent poll. That's a recent exit poll of New Hampshire. What New Hampshire voters find to be the most important. So you have housing all the way up at the top, 5 times more important than the next important thing. And then I think the next important thing is maybe living wage or wages, or it's something. Housing is so complicated too. I think a lot of people, they think of just one aspect of housing. That's another thing I had to learn about housing, is that like there are a lot of people suffering from property taxes too. And I haven't even really entered that realm of it. And I know those are people that are struggling. I'm just informing myself and the people around me about a renter, because that's what I am. I'm a renter. And I moved here in 2020. I moved back home in 2020, and I was paying like $1,500 a month for a 2-bedroom in Nashua, and now I'm paying like $2,200. 5 years. That's like a 50
in the same place.
It's a legit, exactly the same apartment. I haven't moved. That's
wild.
And this is me. Like after 2 years into the lease, where they wouldn't even like hear from me because they were so down with me leaving so they could get someone else in. It was 2 years in. But by like the 3rd year, when they were like naturally popping up my lease every so often, I would email them and be like, yo, I've been here for like 3 years. Like, you guys can't hit me up with a break. And they would like, whatever the rise was, it was like automated, right? They're used to people calling. So even with those calls, That's how much my rent has gone up, and I literally can't leave. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, I'm lucky I haven't like met a partner, like met a girlfriend or something, because I'm living with my boy, I'm living with my buddy, and I just happen, and me and him are so simpatico. We're like, we've known each other. We're from the same town. We grew up together. We worked together, and when I moved back, he had just happened to break up with his girlfriend. So I got really lucky. I got really lucky that we were in that situation. Now, both of us are terrified to leave. Like we can't leave each other. Like we're like now imagining, like like movies, like Hollywood movies. How can we help our like tax situation here? Like can we get into some kind of not to. It's just we're in like a really untenable situation. I make light of it, but at any point they could kick us the fuck out too, and we can't say anything because of no fault eviction. So I know I'm going on a rant here, but I just holidays are upon us, and I just feel the need to remind people especially when a lot of us are privileged to have like a roof over our heads, to just I get really sensitive when I see people. Like, it's one thing for a bot saying something on the internet, but when I see people that are very obviously people, human beings, and they're repeating things that are the basis of the dehumanization of a whole sect of people. It's like it's just this idea, and in one video I really touched on it, which is it's the dehumanization. It's this idea that when you make arguments like these people are lazy, right? You're treating them less than human. You're treating them like animals, and that becomes more acceptable. You're able to justify trashing their tents and rounding them up and throwing them into prison, knowing that they're just going to get out and they're not going to be able to pay the fine. So we're going to pay the increased police presence. And wouldn't y'all just rather pay for the home? Wouldn't you just rather pay for the home than the increased police presence on the streets? It's just so crazy to me, and this is dehumanization at work. You see it overseas all the time. You see it when our military does things, but you're seeing it here in just the opinions of everyday people.
Yeah, I think this like dehumanization idea is like this is like a thread that keeps coming up for us. And I think it really is the core of like why a lot of this stuff is so insidious, is because it really is these talking points really like remove people's humanity. So can you talk a little bit about some of the statistics that you were sharing in this conversation about kind of the reality of the situation and
Absolutely.
some of the misconceptions, specifically like around, oh, well, everything is bad because people are moving from Massachusetts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If it's cool, I'm gonna just there's a report that it's the NHHFA, which stands for the New Hampshire. What does it stand for? It's escaping my brain, but I'm gonna get the report up here, which is a housing report that they do every single year, or at least every other year. And the last one they did was in 2024. So most of the stats that I'm giving usually is based on 2024 with a little bit of fluctuation. But one thing that is just regularly true, and just to shed some light here, COVID screwed everything up, right? COVID was a period of time that literally just it stopped things in its tracks, and it's just been kind of exacerbated since then. Like we haven't caught up to the issues that were presented during COVID. So I was giving stats like 20 to 2025, eviction rates and homelessness have both gone up over 50%. But the reality of the situation is between 2023 and 2024, it went up 50%. That's like one period
really
of time.
Crazy.
Absolutely. And that falls in line with this kind of housing pickup and like the private industries. In 2023 was the first time in documented housing history in New Hampshire or in the country that I could find where the percentage of single family homes or affordable homes, the percentage of those purchased by investment corporations was like a quarter, was like a 25% of those homes, affordable homes, not luxury homes. These are the things that, again, they have to be clarified and repeated. That private equity comes in, pays over market value. Again, that's why these prices are so insane, because there's no how, again, no vacancy. So all of these stats in a vacuum don't mean much. You put them all together: no vacancy, increased rent, no fault eviction, no rent control, right? And there's no more building. So it's bound to it's hyper capitalism. This is, you've heard that phrase, I'm sure, on TikTok, hypercapitalism. But this is the definition of hypercapitalism, and it's why New Hampshire is becoming more liberal, to be honest. That's why since 2006 you've seen it be more liberal, because liberals tend to be more educated. This is a generalization, but the numbers support this. They aren't anti-education, they're not anti-intellectual, they have higher paying jobs, and they're naturally gonna push out Republicans. Republicans don't see this, that like it's their policies that are not protecting their electorate, right? It's just letting the highest bidder come in, whether it's from Massachusetts or from China. Let's not kid ourselves here, right? Like Nashua, swaths of land are being sold off to China. But people are pissed in my comments about the mom living in the tent in Mine Falls. Like Mine Falls is a beautiful place to walk. Like if you've ever been to Nashua, it's a beautiful place to go. It's just like nature. And at the end of one of the walk, at the end of the path, there's an encampment, and I can't get over the initial reflex reaction to something like that being like it's ruining my walk. And that was exactly what the small businesses said during the encampment ban, which was they're ruining the sidewalk, they're ruining business. It's just, I don't know, I'm not like a, I don't know how to bridge that gap of it, that humanity gap of it, outside of just talking about it as much as I can and like painting some type of picture with my words where you have to imagine it, right? Your brain doesn't go to the worst case scenario. It's just, I'm painting messaging, right? Painting the correct picture. Like 20% of them are children. The fuck are you gonna expect children to do here, you know?
Yeah. I think for me, it jumped out at me because I hadn't heard some of these stats before. So like I was like, holy shit. I think when having these conversations a lot of times with people, what's difficult is like everyone operates off of their previous assumptions of like the way that the world has always historically worked in their mind. And what you're saying, I mean, specifically, like what'd you say, it was 50%, the increase in homelessness was 50%. It increased 50% between 2023 and 2024 alone. Like these numbers are crazy. And so we're not dealing with the same kind of worlds that we once were. And so like these types of people who complain about, whatever they're complaining about is just like, this is not the same world that you're making arguments based off of like your understanding of a world that existed 20 years ago, or even a world that existed 5 years ago, to your point, pre-COVID. And things are extremely different now. And I think we need to like be shouting these kind of stats from the rooftop, because this really is like class warfare. This is the kind of stuff that's like really like, this is private equity is ruining our country, right? And this is a perfect example of where we're seeing that. So yeah, feel free to, if you want to talk about some of this stuff.
Yeah, and I'm gonna read some of these out loud to TikTok if you're not in Twitch, because it's insane, right? So what we're looking at is that our new favorite TikTok account that I talk about a lot, NHFPI. Okay, if you're not following them, go.
I have them pulled too. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna have them on as guests soon from the New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute. They're very excited to come and talk to all of us, and I'm very excited to put more eyes on them. I get a lot of my stats from them, guys. Like, so when you hear me popping off out there with these numbers, that there's a high percentage chance that it's coming from them. They deal with a lot of different things, including healthcare, and we're going to speak to them on what exactly they do when they come. And what we're looking at here is the median monthly rent of different counties in New Hampshire, right? And how much they've gone up in 5 years from 2019 to 2024. Belknap County, 44%. Carroll County, 33%. Cheshire County, 30%. Coos County, 42%. Grafton, 67% in Grafton. Let me see if I
It's
can make
crazy.
these larger. Better. There we go. Hillsborough, 37%. Merrimack, 29%. Rockingham, 32%. Stratford, 30. This is insane for New Hampshire, right? These are like wages are not going up like that. What this is that voters, I mean not voters, like people from like Massachusetts and like again, people that are making more money, right? People that are working from home, people usually from states that are giving them better, are giving them more protections. They're turning New Hampshire again. I have to paint a picture here for people. It's hard, but this is becoming an overflow parking lot of Massachusetts. Okay, not sure how else to explain like visually what is happening here, but Mass is full too of like affordable places, right? But like because they make so much money and they understand that they need to keep their employee levels, because if they start saying you can't work from home, they're going to lose those people because they can't live in Boston, right? They can't live in these. So they allow them to work from home. That allows them to go lease a cheap New Hampshire apartment and inflates the price. And it's like these little things where you just have to repeat it over and over again to people, I think, so they can understand how crazy it is. I mean, even, and this is just one more thing, graph on the same page, median monthly rental costs, pretty much what I just told you guys, like what happened to me. I mean, this puts it in numbers, an actual like graph. You can see every year, this is total cost of everything, right? Like utilities included with these numbers. So you're talking about year by year, steady, steady. And then all of a sudden here, you start hitting like insane percentage numbers from 2019 to 2024, right? You go 4%, 5%, 6%, 6%, 11.5% in 2023. Again, what happened in 2023? It was the housing kind of boom, all this private equity, 25%. And again, the first quarter of 2025, the same amount of private equity invested into starter homes, affordable homes, 25%. Now, there are easy fixes to this. There are economists that will give you crazy fixes, but like one of the big fixes, like if you're running a populist campaign, especially a progressive, populist, left-leaning campaign, simple fix is just to take all private equity out of housing, right? Or even more specifically, you create like a moratorium on buying starter houses. You say, you know what? Starter homes are for the starter family. That's it. Like that's literally a populist. That is a populist talking point. That like the only people that would be against that are corporations and investors, right? Because everyone wants a house. That's the American dream still. You are losing people because it's all tied to housing, right? If you were to say we are going to, I don't want to give away too many secrets here. You say you're a candidate and you say, fuck it. I'm gonna say I'm gonna do the American Dream Act. Let's see who wants to pick that up. The American Dream Act. I want to put a moratorium on all private equity on houses that are 300K or less. There you go. I just won you an election, probably. And I just Republicans want houses, Democrats want houses. Everyone wants to live the way like their parents lived or their grandparents. At the very least, I would like to live the way I know like every generation's supposed to be living better than the last one, but we are not in that. We are in the inverse now. And millennials, I feel like I have a lot of hate for boomers because I just feel like in Gen X, like my parents' generation, they did so well. They had such a great time in this economy. They lived their life, and millennials are going to have the least amount of political and buying power of any generation to ever exist. Like we are going to be the ones that are planting the seeds of trees that we are not in the shades of, whatever that quote is. That's going to be us. We have to eat that. And I think part of that messaging too is getting I know under 300K where it's funny, but there are places and that would help houses get closer to what they're supposed to be valued, I think, which is a lot of houses are overpriced because of the overpaying of these companies because they can. It's in their margins or whatever. They can do it. But yeah, no, I think this if these are populist things that are easily implemented, people are hungry for them. They just want, like, no one has hope. I went with Paige Boschman to Dartmouth College, one of the, I mean, some of the smartest kids on earth there, right? Like these are some of the future politicians, networkers. These are some of like this is the future. The amount of, it's like there's no hope in these rooms. I've never seen, this is supposed to be the hope, the kids are the hopeful generation, and it's like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and until you're able to give people that, you won't excite them to show up. And this is something where, again, you talk about New Hampshire, how important this is to voters in New Hampshire. Politicians can't afford not to focus on this. It is such easy winning, such easy, such low-hanging fruit that you're gonna have to create a pretty prominent shitty argument in defense of it, that like, no, the landlords deserve more than the people. You're gonna have to make that argument if you want it to go that way.
Yeah, it feels like we have to like agree on some basic universal truths around what like living with dignity looks like in our state, right? Or in our country. And it's like living with dignity looks like if you work in Nashua, you should be able to afford a house in Nashua. You should be able to afford an apartment in Nashua that is large enough for your family or whoever you are living with. Like these are basic, the housing is a human right. We have to start talking about it as such. And we clearly need to legislate in response to what we're seeing in this private equity takeover. I think Pat was saying, we despise Pat's in the, if you're watching us on TikTok, feel free to join us over on Twitch. We're doing some screen shares and stuff over here as well. But Pat's in the comments saying, unfortunately, I don't think this great wealth transfer you read about is going to happen. I think private equity will strip it all via end of life care. And I think that's real. Like we are heading into like a generational crisis for where the boomers are going to be in a really difficult situation that I think folks just really are not prepared for. And the cost of end of life care, I'm hearing we're going to see an increase of people having to move back, of seniors having to move back in with their children who also don't have enough housing for them, who don't have availability to like have them live together. So I think, yeah, we absolutely need to like, I think it would be pretty easy too, to like get consensus on what should our rights look like around housing that we can all universally agree on. To your point, it is like a populist idea and we need to be talking about it more often. Yeah, go ahead.
And no, I'm one thing I would just want to bring up for people without just saying I want to put something on the screen is like rent control, right? This is another term that I don't know if you guys have noticed this by now. I mean, I talk about it all the time, but like Republicans are really good at snatching words, turning them into stuff and making us scared of them, right? So like rent control. You ask any average person what that means, they think that's rent freezing, right? Like that's most people, that's what they think. At least anecdotally in my life, when I say rent control, they're like, then how do people make money, right? Rent control is not, you're still profiting on rent control. Rent control is something that these cities created to protect their longtime tenants from things like private equity. They put it in there so your grandma, who's been living in the same place for 30 years, isn't going to have some Joe Schmo come in from New York City and price her out of her apartment building that she's been living in for 30 years. They don't care about the R or the D in front of their name. It's just about the money that they can make. So what rent control does is it sets rules. What it says is, and I'm going to give you some examples, like in California, and don't quote me on the length of time, but it's like the building has to be 10 years old, first of all, before you can rent control it. So the whole argument that Republicans and conservatives tell you when they say real estate agents and investment corporations will not build new homes or new apartment complexes because of rent control, they can't make money, is a lie, is an abject lie. Rent control doesn't protect new buildings. No, anywhere. And you can go look that up. Different states, different cities have different rules. But there's no place that says a brand new building is in rent control instantly. Nowhere. It doesn't exist. Okay? And there are certain rules based on how much they can charge. It's like cost of living and inflation is how much more they can start charging. Plus like a percentage, like it's like a 2% profit. Normally this number profit, it comes out to like around 5%, 5 to 7% a year. That is fine for an investment. Landlords shouldn't get any more protections than any other investment. Some investments fail, right? That's how that works. And again, I want to throw out there that I am not talking about the one house landlord. I'm not talking about the two, unexpensive houses. He's got one vacation home. He's got one home. He goes once in a while. He doesn't rent it out. I'm not talking about those people. Like I don't want to come and take your home. I'm talking about the corporate landlords, the guys that own swaths of buildings and can control the market because they own so much. Those are the people that I'm talking about. So again, I have to reiterate that because again, I say Republican conservatives, capitalists love to say, you know what, these guys hate the normal landlords. No, I'm not trying to take your house. Okay. I just think that
we don't love them, but we don't hate them.
Yeah. And again, I would keep those people from buying a second house if it was a starter home. The starter home belongs to is the first family. That's my whole spiel here. But ultimately, I think it's important to know that this is all interconnected. Everyone's interconnected. And now I want to be even more aggressive to these wealthy ass towns that are full of NIMBYs covering themselves from the D perspective, from the R perspective. I don't care. I don't care what your perspective is anymore. That's the thing about populism. And I want to ingrain that to people. Populism doesn't care. Like, I don't care who you voted for in the past 10 years, as long as we're here now together. And that's what I want to just, if I could give someone a kind of this meta message, is that we need to start having these really hard conversations with our allies as well. That we have been pretty negotiable and pretty soft on these issues while they have been part of the barrier, right? The allies that have been the biggest liberals in New Hampshire funding the New Hampshire Democratic Party, the wealthy ones, these are the ones that are also voting against anti-zoning laws, right? They're the ones also protecting their own property value. And I just think we need to start having these real conversations if we're going to excite people to show up. And that's how you got to excite. We're holding people accountable now. And again, making clear we don't care. We don't care what we'll deal with the whole reconciliation thing later. But right now, if we want to change things now, we want to make life better for all of us. Are you here now? And we can it's not hard. The amount of people we need is not difficult to do in a short period of time. But the question is, can we convince people? Can our messaging be good enough? What do you think, Marissa?
Yeah, I think this ties back to, I know I will always probably keep coming back to this idea of class consciousness. And I think this ties into it as well, where housing is not really a Republican or Democrat issue, especially right now where we are. And the reality of the situation is things have escalated so incredibly fast here in New Hampshire. It is completely untenable for people to build a life here. And that's not okay. I might have a short visitor that's trying to come in. She's usually at daycare, but I do this, and now she's like, what's going on and why can't I hang out with you? But this is the kind of stuff that I'm like, if we were able to really break through to people and really get folks to understand that the housing issue isn't about like Republicans or Democrats. It's really not. It's about private equity, and it's about this wealth hoarding. Like, it boils down to wealth hoarding. It's these groups are buying up all of the housing and jacking up the prices. And so, yeah, like Arya said, we're not talking about the people who maybe have one or two additional, maybe you have a multifamily home and you rent, apartments to other people. That's some people, I'm not even going there, right? That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is this large scale acquisition of property, buying up all the property and then driving up the rates. Like, that's what's happening. We are being exploited. We are being exploited at every turn by these private equity groups, by these people that sit at the top economically of our culture. And this is not a Republican or a Democrat conversation. This is just people who are trying to live. And I think that if we can break through that, again, that's why I keep encouraging people to like push through this false binary. They want us to stay in this Democrat and Republican fight because it keeps us from having realistic conversations about the reality of where we're at, which is that the Democrats aren't going to save us. The Republicans aren't going to save us. We have to push through working class policies. We have to push through policies that support people at a working class level. And this is just this is a tangent, and I'll let you get back to it, bring us back to the topic here. But like, we've been having a lot of conversations, and a lot of us were talking about this last night. I think it was Bridget who said, like, we have to redefine what working class means, because working class is a much broader definition right now. I just saw something last night that said the new poverty line for a family of four, I think this is for the full country, not just New Hampshire, is $130,000 is the new realistic poverty line. When you adjust for the amount of inflation that we've seen on groceries, medical care, all these other things, the inflation we've seen on rent, all these things, $130,000 is the new poverty line for a family of four. So we are not operating, and again, it's like we're not operating by the same definitions of things that we were 4 years ago. The world is very, very different. And so we've got to get folks on board with this idea that just sitting in our comfort zone of just voting for Democrats and hoping for the best. I think we need to like get away from that, because we also need to pull people in who are just not engaged, right? Oh, and that brings me back to my point, Bridget, it was you. And you were saying like, we need to redefine what working class means, because when I'm talking about working class, and not to speak for Arya, but I think when you are as well, like we're talking about people who have to work to live, right? We're not talking about somebody who maybe like somebody's parents who bought a nice house and, worked their whole life and retired and bought a nice house. When we're talking about the working class, we're talking about people who have to work to live. I'm still working through like, how do you talk about this and message this in a way that makes sense and gets through to people? But there's this whole class of people that gets very turned off by our messaging about wealth and rich people, and they really don't like it because they feel attacked, because maybe they're somebody who had an executive position at a small company and maybe they're retiring with $1 million in the bank. And so they're feeling under attack. And what they don't realize is they're much closer to the person that is working a minimum wage job than they are to the billionaires we're talking about. Bridget, if you can remind me in the comments too, that you had a specific kind of calculation you did too that was really important. But basically this idea that the working class is very big, and a lot of us are actually in it, and it is being redefined as we're moving through this time in history where everything is becoming very, very expensive very, very quickly. There is a massive gap between people who need to work to live and people who just profit off of exploiting others, like these private equity companies. So if you want to switch gears to what you've got over here, Arya. You're on mute, bud. You are on mute still.
Oh, thank you. No, just really quickly, I know I had a graphic here before, and I know even Joe did a video when I shared the graphic in one of our streams, but people don't really truly understand the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. I think that's like one of the big things. And this isn't the awesome visual that I had before, but just to give you just a quick breakdown on TikTok, okay? 1 million seconds is about 11 and a half days. Okay, that's how it breaks down the
No.
days.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. Don't listen to me.
1 billion seconds is 31 and a half years. Okay, so 1 million seconds, 12 days. 1 billion seconds, 32 years. That is a massive difference. And again, like people have to it's about messaging, like you said. We can say it over and over again. And part of our job will be, Marissa, I think, in our streams, and I know we've talked about it, is to keep reminding people what we mean when we talk about working class. Because obviously that is a big part of what we're pushing, because we are part of the working class based on the real definition. We are part of the populism movement, which again, there was a time, I think there the traditional definition was, I think it's been moved back and forth, but generally I think this idea of people who have to work for wages and have little power individually against their authority, against their boss, these people are in the working class, you know, and small business owners are in the working class. Yes, they have to go to work. They needed to survive. When I think about the wealth accruers, I think about the people who literally have money sitting in a bank that is gaining money from sitting in the bank. Like, the idea of taxing that at a higher clip of like your income tax should make sense to everyone. There is no human being on this earth outside of the guy who owns that bank account should be for a piece, you know, this thing sitting in a bank accruing wealth, because the reason that's accruing wealth is that it is accruing wealth off the backs, off the risk and the backs of the working class. Because I could sit here and explain to you how a bank account does this and how like they don't have the money supporting the numbers. Like there's no actual physical amount of money that supports like the amount of money that's out there. Like it could all, if everyone went to the bank today to get their money, it would crash. Like it would just, they would stop you, you know, there's no way you could do that. So this idea that that is accruing based off the backs of working class people who, again, if the system crashes, who pays for it? The bailouts come. Of course, we hate socialism, right? We hate welfare unless it's for the billion-dollar companies. And this is, again, it's all messaging. And for a while, I thought Democrats were just terrible at messaging. Nah, they're just fucking capitalists. They are also interested in you not knowing the difference, not visualizing this. That the most extreme wealth hoarders are like, they are sucking the planet dry. What can you possibly do with $1 trillion in this world that you can't do with $1 billion, that you can't do with $500 million? I mean, you could end poverty. $40 billion a year would totally end poverty in America. Now, don't quote me on the exact
I
numbers,
think
but that's it.
that's like what I want people to take into their metaphorical or realistic Thanksgiving conversations, right? We're all kind of online being like making our little jokes, but like if you're having conversations with people over this week, people that are not engaged with politics, it really is, this is like a class issue. This is not a Democrat versus Republican issue. This is a class warfare issue. And one thing that I wanted to say as well is like, we speak in a lot of generalities here. I think Arya and I, a lot of we paint with a broad brush for the sake of making a point, right? And the sake of getting the point. We are not, when we say Democrats this, Democrats that, I want to make the point to clarify, we're not saying every Democrat is a corrupt, hyper capitalist, right? We're not greedy, motivated by greed. Like that's not what we're saying. And I want to make sure that like you guys, we trust that people can understand the nuance, but obviously we're reaching a larger group now that isn't always processing that nuance, or people take it as an attack. But I want to be clear that like when we're talking about Democrats in the way that Arya just was, and Arya, correct me if I'm going to speak for you, at least for my perception here, is that like when you say that like Democrats are doing this too, because they're part of this problem because they are they are motivated by capitalism as well. We're not talking about all Democrats. We're not talking about everybody involved in the New Hampshire Democratic Party, but we are talking about the people at the very top that are enabling this system that has allowed the same families to be in charge of our decisions and our government for so long. We are talking about the people at the very top who have benefited greatly from financially from their positions of leadership, and these families that have been in control for generations. And people like, we see people making these decisions, like the big vote a couple weeks ago, where everyone's been very upset about Maggie Hassan and about Jean Shaheen, and like, these are politicians that are perfect examples of what we're talking about. So when we're saying things like Democrats bad, we're talking about those very those politicians that are very aligned with the establishment, that are very aligned with hyper-capitalism, that are profiting aggressively off of all of this. And so I just wanted to kind of make a note of that and make sure people understand that, like, sometimes Arya and I do gloss over like nuance, and we expect people to just kind of like understand that it's implicitly understood. But here in New Hampshire, we do have a lot of representatives that fall into that category of like Democrat bad, Democrats greedy, like Democrats exploiting the working class. We do have representatives that do that. And they are continuing to bolster the system that, for example, with like the New Hampshire Democratic Party is treating Chris Pappas as if he is the presumed Democratic nominee for Senate, which no fucking way if I have anything to do about it. Are you kidding me? Like, he is a perfect example of somebody who comes from a family with money, whose family has continued to profit off of what he's doing in the federal government. And the chicken tenders king is like profiting like crazy, and he is not an ally to us here in the working class. So these are the people that we're talking about, and these are the people that have enabled this type of policy to continue, and have enabled the situation we're in today, where, as we're talking about, if you're joining us late, we're talking about the housing crisis here in New Hampshire and how aggressively this situation has gotten worse in the last 2 years.
Absolutely. And it's a great reminder. And just again, that's part of the messaging. That's part of our responsibility. That's part of the community's responsibility too, that we need to start being very direct and very clear about what we mean. And this is part of it, the whole like what kind of Democrats versus what kind of like who we're talking about when we're talking about radicals, or who we're talking about when we're talking about capitalists. And yeah, absolutely. And even like working class versus not working class, right? These are important things. And I think being morally clear on these things is very important. And I before I forget, and I just want to, so we can move on this rent control thing, I just wanted to give people like, just, you hear about New York City and rent control in New York City a lot. It's a talking point all the time, pro, con. I just want to explain to you guys the rules behind the rent control aspects of New York City, right? So there are two rent control programs. That this is Investopedia too, that on TikTok, since you guys can't see. The older rent control program puts severe limits on rental prices, but the only renters still covered by that law right now in New York City have been living in those apartments since 1974 or earlier, in buildings that were constructed before World War II, 1947. Okay, that's rent control. What one of the rent control rules are. The other one, the 1970s era rent stabilization program, it regulates prices in about half of the city's rentals. The rents can only be increased for either 1 or 2 years, and the allowable percentage increases are set by the rent guidelines board, whose 9 members are appointed by the mayor, usually a capitalist, usually a Democrat from the liberal, until the liberal establishment, right? And these 9 members are appointed by the mayor. The rules and exceptions are a labyrinth and administered by a combination of city and state agencies. This is still, it's like, it's akin to calling the ACA like a liberal health plan or like a leftist health plan. That was a Heritage Foundation health plan. That was a Republican health plan. Mitt Romney ran that health plan in Massachusetts. They used to call it Romney Care. It's the same plan. and they label it Obamacare now. And again, it is to the insurance companies. This is not a liberal or a leftist like we're protecting the people. It was, how can we do this? And don't get me wrong. Again, I got to be clear. ACA is great for what it did provide. Right, the ability for so many millions of people to jump on a health care plan. A lot of the young people don't know out there. You can be on your parents' insurance till 26 because of the ACA. They don't use the pre-existing condition shit on you anymore for the lightest stuff because of the ACA. These were two of the craziest parts of health, even the health insurance that existed. So obviously, I'm not going to be a person to say this was a terrible plan. No, it was the net positive was there. But to call it a leftist, non-capitalist, non-corporatist kind of like, compromise is a pipe dream. Okay, so it is important on so many levels. Like how many videos I used to do on rent control, I got to start making those videos again because it's important to remind people at all times what these things mean. And that, like, again, like rent control, the first state to actually do rent control was Oregon in like 2019. It's not that like old of, like New York State doesn't have rent control. It's just New York City, right? Like there are actually like 30 plus states that have made rules to not let towns implement rent control. Like if a town wanted to do it on its own, 33 states, including New Hampshire, I think, have put rules in their constitution saying that towns can't do that. So it's important always for us to be clear to what you were saying, Marissa, for us to like really define what these things mean, because when the messaging becomes clear and the motivation becomes clear, I think it becomes a lot easier to excite people to do what we need them to do, which is show up. We just need you to show up. And the more we show up, the more people will show up.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Anything else on this point, or can we want to shift gears? I've got a couple quick announcements I wanted to make before jumping into the videos.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm good.
Cool. I just New Hampshire Talk PSAs. I wanted to do a quick little screen share. So the first one, I'm not sure if she was just in a TikTok a little bit ago. I'm not sure if she's still here, but this is Haley. Haley reached out to me and she is interested. Hi, I'm gonna mute this. She is trying to start like a New Hampshire media company, and so I just want to. And she's looking for folks to reach out and to connect with other people in New Hampshire who might want to work on something like this together. Specifically, I think she's getting started with like a magazine. So I'm gonna play this in case you guys missed it.
My name is Haley, and I live in New Hampshire, and I'm looking for other people who live in New Hampshire and kind of are active in the political and business scene.
If you're on TikTok, same usernames on Twitch. If you're on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. We're shifting into some more screen share stuff for the next little bit of time. So if you want to join us over on Twitch, you can watch along with us.
I would like to start a New Hampshire media company, starting with magazines that go out on a monthly basis. I'd also like to incorporate podcasts that seem to already exist at the New Hampshire level right now. I see a lot more New Hampshire creators, and I think that it would be beneficial to start working towards like a New Hampshire media group. So as far as my concept right now, I want to work and focus on like a New Hampshire magazine. So I'm looking for people who live in New Hampshire and who are already involved in, like, if you own your own New Hampshire business, I want to hear from you. If you are active in a New Hampshire nonprofit, I'd like to hear from you. If you attend a lot of New Hampshire legislative sessions at the local or the state level, that would be fantastic. If you're like a type of political commentator, I'd like to hear from you there. Let's see, if you're a photographer and you'd be interested in any type of photography assignments for the magazine, I'd love to hear from you. If you are an editor or a writer, I would like to hear from you. If you're an illustrator, I'd love to hear from you. If you're a graphic designer, I'd love to hear from you. I do have a contact sheet that I'm going to include in the comments here, and I think if I can link it in my bio. So yeah, if you're interested, if you live in the New Hampshire area, I'm very interested in trying to work on a New Hampshire magazine that goes out on a monthly basis and start incorporating additional media types. But I think that it would be great to have kind of like a state directory type of thing that also does a little bit of marketing for local businesses and some coverage about some of the things that are going on throughout the state, including events, legislative sessions, etc. So if it's something that you're interested in, even if you don't know how you would fit into the bigger picture, I would love to hear from you. So please fill out that contact form. It'll be very important that I have an idea of where people are located across the state of New Hampshire. I'm in southern New Hampshire, so I'm kind of far separated from northern New Hampshire. It would be really, really valuable if I got some voices from across the state, because I really do want it to be pretty inclusive of all of the areas within the state. So I hope to connect with you. I'm seeing so many New Hampshire TikTok creators, and I love it so much. And I'm hoping that we can kind of come together and create like a really solid New Hampshire media ecosystem that is run by and benefits the people who consume it. Thanks.
I love that. I'm super excited about this idea. Her handle is HML Squeak. If you want to find her, and you can see that she's got a form in the comments of this video. HML Squeak if you're watching on TikTok. So yeah, reach out to her. She's got a form in the comments there. And I think this is a great idea, again, to the private equity point, and the fact that like something you and I talk about a lot is like, I think the reason we've been able, and a lot of us on TikTok have been able to build a platform, is because there is this gap in local media, right? And that's been done by these individuals and these corporations that are wealth hoarding and have been slowly dismantling local journalism over the past 10 years. And we're now in a place where there is this appetite for local content that benefits people who live here locally. So reach out to Haley and get involved there. I'm on her list as well. And that's also the last thing I was going to say on this too, is just that like, this is a great opportunity. I hear from people all the time who are interested in getting more involved. But they're like, I'm not a TikTok person. I'm not going to like post videos, and that's super valid. I understand not everybody is. That being said, if you want to, you should try. But if you're not, oh, hold on. I'm getting my little spam. TikTok thinks I'm spam.
Oh, yeah.
1 second. All right, we're back. So, God, okay. Come on, Marissa, pull it together. We've got 40 more minutes. We can do this. 50 more minutes. So, so yeah, take a look at what Haley's sharing. Yes, this is a good opportunity for folks who are maybe not the TikTok type or the on-camera type. But if you're a writer, you're interested in photography, graphic design, anything like that, there's a lot of opportunity here, and I think it's a great idea. So reach out to Haley. She's looking to get started, get information from people, and then get started on this project really in January. Arya, I'm going to switch to a different screen.
Yeah, no, I have nothing to say. You said everything great. I definitely follow. I think the New Hampshire Talks hashtags have been a great way for us to reach out to each other, stay connected. And again, when we build, like when there's something in the New Hampshire, like, vicinity, and someone's talking about it, and another person talks about it, and another person talks about it, and all of a sudden we're sharing, reposting our stuff, you are affecting the algorithm. We are essentially like setting the algorithm. So keep that in mind. Every repost, every interaction with something that's a New Hampshire Talks got those tags in it, you're going to just influence the algorithm. And yeah, it's amazing. I don't know. I'm not in too many other states communities, but I feel like New Hampshire is like budding. I mean, there's generally a lot of eyes on New Hampshire these days because of the news too. So
yeah, I'm starting to hear from more folks that are like, you guys are causing a little bit of a ruckus. So I like to hear that. I like to hear that we're causing a ruckus. So speaking of which, we're pulling in more people into our universe and our ecosystem. So Arya mentioned the New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute earlier, and I just want to encourage you all to follow them. I'm just going to share this great video they made about kind of, again, leading up into this Thanksgiving idea. But they've got some great data, and they're like bringing a really fun energy to TikTok that I really appreciate. And I just like it delights me when I see somebody who's like creating a new account for this kind of thing and is really just like
stop scrolling if you're doing Thanksgiving with your family in New Hampshire this year. Hi, I'm Holly from the New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute, and welcome to this Thanksgiving Bring a Side of New Hampshire Facts. This is our holiday mini-series on common myths about the New Hampshire
I just noticed her
economy.
microphone.
We all have that one relative who shows up to dinner with some very creative takes. I'm here with NHFPI Research Director Phil Sladden, who's going to dish out the facts and tell you how you can politely, but also factually, respond. Okay, so Phil, let's start with this one. Uncle Jerry takes a bite of turkey and says that people from Massachusetts are buying up all the houses in New Hampshire. Is that even true?
Well, it's not all the houses in New Hampshire. If you look at the data from 2018 to 2022, more than 70% of the houses on average were sold to people who already lived in New Hampshire. So people from Massachusetts accounted for about 15 to 20% over that time period. So yes, people from Massachusetts are buying houses in New Hampshire, but most houses in New Hampshire are sold to people who are already in New Hampshire.
So if this comes up at the table, now you have the facts.
There was an analysis.
So yeah, they've got some great videos out already. Give them a follow, give them a nice welcome into the community, and ask questions. I think they're here because they want to be a resource and they want to get their data out into the hands of more people. So if you yeah, lean on them. I think they're awesome. So, and like Arya said, I think I didn't know this, but they're going to come on. You talked to them about coming on the show, so we'll have them on here soon too.
Yeah, absolutely. They I did a TikTok when they started following me today or yesterday. I did a TikTok today, like being like, "Oh my God, so excited that they're following." Because I honestly, I get so much of my data from them. It's important for them to exist and for eyes to be on them. And they reached out to me. They were very thankful because obviously they've heard a lot about the New Hampshire Talks community already. And they were very interested too to do something. So I'm like, listen, after the holidays, let's talk. You know, like we're connected with some candidates too. Like, you know, like let's get more eyes on you guys because it's very important for New Hampshire's future, I think. Because it's different when you see these numbers, right? Like when I showed you some of these graphs and these numbers and you're seeing it work that way and you're seeing just like this kind of trend. It's different than when someone's saying it to you. And that's just another way of painting that photo for someone. And so very important. I'm very excited. I don't know when we're going to have them on. We'll see. We're going to look at their schedule, but we're going to hopefully have them on to talk about housing, what they do in general, but also I think the person we're going to be speaking to is going to be more housing and healthcare oriented, two very big items in New Hampshire currently. So we'll be excited to talk to them and we'll let you guys know when we're going to have them on.
Yeah. My last thought on this, and then I'll turn it over to you and we can pull up the video is I think I'm somebody who is not good at retaining data, and I often argue out of emotion, and that is not the most persuasive way to have conversations with people. Sometimes it does, sometimes it is, but I think I'm like stretching that muscle of, and I'm flexing that muscle of like, how do I start getting some of these stats to like live in my head? Like I'm always like, Arya just pulls shit out of his ass, and I'm like, I don't know how you do that, but I need to strengthen that muscle. And so I think all of us like are, you know, when we're talking about messaging, it's not just like for us creating social media content, like really we want to help people get the messaging that they can then use in conversations that they're having with their friends. And I'm not naive to think that we're all like in these little circles of people that surround us that feel the same way we do. And so I think we're all kind of responsible for trying to influence those who we can influence, right? Whether it's on an app like this or not. So, yeah, let's all get into the data together and do our best to remember some numbers through the fog of our debilitating ADHD.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, you know how at the beginning of this stream, I was like, why am I so dark? It's because I was using my friggin' laptop camera. I wasn't even using the right camera. That's why that's why I've been futzing around with my lights the whole time. So I'm gonna, excuse me while I turn off my horrible overhead big light that's making me want to die.
So funny. That's quite the quality change from camera to camera there. Yeah, so
camera.
I'll be more cognizant of that.
No, it's not your job. It's my job.
All right, I got some announcements too, but I'm gonna leave them for the end here. Let's get through this. Let's make sure we get through that. I think there's only like 2 or 3 episodes left of this. And this episode,
so guys, if you're watching
you're
watching on TikTok, we are on Twitch. We're gonna start doing more screen sharing, so you can
find
us by
on.
searching either one of our usernames on Twitch and join the chat because it's bopping. We got Sinahan in the chat now too. We got Kayla in the chat. Everybody's bumping. And then guys, you got it. Like maybe we can switch our Twitch handles to match the TikTok handles so people know who they're talking to. Just something to think about. Just consider it.
Yeah, just a consideration for the community, you know. All right, this episode's called
community.
Yeah. This episode I'm very interested in. It's actually called Primaries, which is what we've been talking about a lot at being important for these races. So let's see what they have to say about the primaries.
The battle for freedom is on.
I come here because I love freedom. I chase freedom.
The Free State Project gave libertarians hope. Libertarians are used to losing political fights.
I think it's winning. The Free State Project is winning.
I want a Free State governor. I want a Free State senator. I want a Free State congressman.
It's not a surprise that Free Staters are active.
We run for office because we just realize it is a way to affect the change that we want to see.
You're going to pick up and move your family across the country for this political movement.
I want a Free State rep. I want a Free State register of probate.
you're probably going to be involved in that political movement when you get here.
The reason that New Hampshire state government has gotten as extreme as it has in the last 2 years is because people were not paying attention to who were elected.
I want them to be eliminating and shrinking the government. As to how far we can make it in 10 years, we'll see.
We have some great things that we've built as a society and as a government. I want to keep making them better, not destroy them.
I don't think the battle ever ends if you're fighting over something that's important to you.
It's all about liberty is my North Star.
How you doing? I'm running for U.S. Senate. How you doing? How are you? Hi, how are you doing? Hi, my name's Bruce. This is my dog Loki. Oh, you gave me a brochure. Thank you. Okay. If you vote for me, September 13th.
Okay, stand there and look a little handsome. Thanks, babe.
We're
That'd be
on
a good one.
Twitch.
Hello.
You can pull up Twitch on your phone or on your computer and just search our usernames, and you can watch along with us. We're doing screen share on there.
Yeah, I just want to take the second, like, because there are a couple people asking about Twitch. You don't even have to download anything. So Twitch is an app. It's a great app. Think of Twitch as the best live streaming. Like TikTok does okay live streaming, but doesn't allow us to like put things on the screen yet. Twitch will allow us to like watch stuff, react to it, be interactive, and you can throw Twitch on your TV even. Like, you don't have to interact in chat. You don't even need an account. You just, if you look us up on Twitch, there will be like almost like a YouTube setup type page where you can like broadcast it to your television, to your tablet, and you can even put audio only. If like, that's how I used to listen to Twitch. I used to turn off the video and just listen to audio because it turns into like almost like a podcast. So your experience will be, unless we are doing an interview with someone, your experience will be exponentially better on Twitch than it will be on TikTok, but we still make ourselves available here.
Also, someone tell me if you can hear my pizza chewing. I think it's probably fine.
He said, is she Republican? She said, yes. And said, she has my vote. I'm Lily Tang Williams. I'm running for U.S. Congress.
I will absolutely show you how to do it.
In Communist China, and I was
get you on Twitch too, Jess.
When Mao started his great proletarian cultural revolution, and I was the eyewitness of all the horrors. I lived it.
And you lived through it.
Yeah, right. So that's why my slogan is like, I fear the country I love is becoming like the country I left. I saw people commit suicide, jumping into community water well, naked body floating. So I had no idea what the world was like outside of China. So now when I first came here was May 11th, 1988, first day. And I met my husband first night in Austin, Texas. I went to UT Austin for graduate school. I swear to you, I don't want to live in another China. Not when I'm alive in this country. So I'm going to do whatever I can to warn people we don't want socialist policies here.
I am absolutely 100% behind Lily Tang Williams because I think she's going to listen to the people. She understands where the power comes from.
So I think my campaign is really about a grassroots movement for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, about the American dream.
My name's Bruce Fenton. I'm running for U.S. Senate representing New Hampshire. I'm a father of 4.
This guy.
I'm married, and I live on a farm in the seacoast. This is my first time running, and I jumped in really late.
Let's get him!
It's kind of like in a video game, you go in a dungeon, you level up your skills. You know, that's what this race is. The biggest race on the ticket for this year, United States Senate. It's high office. I've kind of gotten almost a PhD in politics in just a few months. Hey, I'm running for U.S. Senate. You can pet my dog if you vote for me. I want gay married couples to be able to buy fully automatic weapons to protect their marijuana plants and use Dogecoin for the purchase. I'm not for everybody, but there is people that love what I have to say.
I'm here because I love Bruce, and he's running as a Liberty Republican.
I don't think I'm that likable, really. I mean, I'm kind of a jerk, and I definitely am very controversial and divisive, so I kind of get a kick out of it when somebody's like a genuine fan. I know they really mean it.
When I did see Bruce was fighting for the right cause, I just figured I got to get off the couch and support that.
I'm running as a Republican, but I land very libertarian on pretty much everything except succession. I did serve my country. I don't want to dismantle it. The libertarians in the state have been very, very successful running as Republicans and getting elected to office.
A lot of people, when they hear the term libertarian, they think of the Libertarian Party.
Big L libertarian just means Libertarian Party.
But libertarian, not capitalized.
I just have to say it. It's gonna annoy the hell out of me. It's secession. Okay, it's not succession, which they have just said over.
Those are two
and
different
over.
words.
They're two very massively different words. Secession, not succession. Okay, all right, we're good.
Is more
sorry, and there's while we're paused,
people don't
Pat
take
Lidge
their
says
stuff.
Bruce Fenton told me January 6th was a nothing burger when I pried about what the fuck he meant on something. That's funny. Bruce Fenton, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course. Yeah.
All those ideas. So I would identify as a little L libertarian. I'm in fact a card-carrying Republican. They might not want me, but that's where I am. So this came in the mail on Wednesday to my home address, and it's a very nasty letter. I'm running for House of Representatives in Ward 11 here on the west side of Manchester, New Hampshire.
This is like Hold on, let's see that.
Side of Manchester, New Hampshire. Free
Did I
staters have
miss
run.
it? Hold on. Let's
Manchester.
just look at. Look at who wrote that.
That's her handwriting.
That's
100%.
her handwriting.
She wrote it.
Like,
just kidding. For legal reasons, this is a joke. We are fully joking.
Like, what suburban mom wrote that, dude? Come on, dude. Like, look at it. It's so. It's like a school note.
That looks like Bridget. That's what I picture Bridget's handwriting looks like. I bet Bridget wrote it.
Oh my lord. Yeah, okay.
I'm running for House of Representatives in Ward 11 here on the west side of Manchester, New Hampshire. Free staters have run mostly Republican. It's hard to get ballot access, that barrier to entry. We have had ballot access for LP. You have to get 4% of the vote on the congressional level. So Jeremy Kaufman, who does serve with me on the board of the Free State Project, he's running.
They say to dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And I want to become a lizard person. I would like to rule you. I'd like to lie to your face and then do something else because it benefits me. I would like to be as corrupt as possible. I would like to enrich myself and then tell you it's for your own benefit. I'm Jeremy Kaufman, and I'm running for U.S. Senate. I'm serious. One of the ways we can encourage people to think a little bit differently is by using humor to kind of poke holes in some of the things that they might be believing, to kind of get them to recognize some of these things.
When you're running as a candidate for public office as a libertarian, and other people are using the word libertarian to mean angry, aggressive, offensive, anti-Semitic, just shitposting on the internet, it makes it a lot harder to earn votes. Because I'm not that guy. I'm Nicholas Sarwark. I'm running for Hillsborough County Attorney as a libertarian, but under New Hampshire law can also get the nomination as a Democrat if enough people write my name in.
Do you identify with the Free State Project at all?
I don't. It's a tough thing to talk about. I've been a libertarian since I...
Oh, hold up. I saw a question on Twitch about the lizard lore. And being someone who lives on the internet full time, okay? Let me tell you guys a little bit about the lizard lore, okay? It's a conspiracy theory that was created by a British guy that has been kind of moved to the right, even more to the right, okay? And like this is where QAnon has kind of gotten involved, and they say basically, to break it down, basically our government and the highest echelons of society have been replaced by lizard people. Okay, do you need me to tell you more? Do you need more than that, or are we good here? Oh, we might be good. No,
I'm good on that.
You can go into the Wikipedia and like you can see the explanation behind it is very nerdy. Like I love reading about it because I'm such a fucking nerd. It's not that it's like reading like a sci-fi novel, you know, for me. But like there are people that they believe in this very much so, and these people are in these circles. That's why he's putting it in his like campaign launch video. Like it is being aimed at a certain group of people. He's calling it humor, but it's like a dog whistle almost, you know? This is like it's going to a certain group of people. So yes, this is part of the whole conspiracy thing that has kind of taken a life of its own, the lizard people.
I was 12 years old. I've spent over 2 decades leading the Libertarian Party. That's not my libertarianism. These are people who are taking that word and using it to point at something that it's not. It's kind of like if I said, you know, puppy and pointed to a poisonous snake, that would make it really hard if you were an actual puppy. People would be like, well, I don't want to touch the puppy. He might bite me and kill me. It's like, no, real puppies are actually soft and cuddly. That's a poisonous snake that somebody's trying to make look more attractive.
There is no perfection in this method. I sort of want to repurpose my signs because I'm a cheap Yankee at heart, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to run for state senate again. I mean, is what it is. I don't have a primary opponent, so I'm just in it to win it in November.
American dream is about freedom and prosperity, and we're losing both. Don't give up.
I won't.
Your future is in your hands. Yes, I'm a free stater. Because I love freedom, I chase freedom. That's why I came to New Hampshire. If people don't elect me, that's fine. Okay, I'll run again, you know.
It's primary election day, so this is, you know, the nature of the beast here in New Hampshire. We're a political state. This is what we do for fun.
I got to vote for like 5 friends who are very pro-liberty. Being able to vote for friends who I know have integrity and love liberty and will fight for liberty, but also fight for me as a friend, it's an incredible privilege to be able to vote for these people. We're optimistic about a bunch of good results.
I'm very concerned about what's happening to politics in the state of New Hampshire.
I grew up north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and hung up my shingle here in Wolfboro, New Hampshire, where I've practiced in ophthalmology since 1986, until I retired 6 years ago. I've always thought of myself as being pretty conservative, but the Republican Party, particularly in the House, has taken such extreme measures with Free Staters leading the way. I had a confrontation with Republican leadership over a vaccine bill that prior to June. I'm never going to be told that I must take an injection. I've changed parties from being a Republican to being a Democrat because I can't put up with this anymore.
You've got these folks who want to secede. They want to abolish our democratic institutions. They want to undermine public education.
I don't think that's
I didn't know that was a real thing.
Yes, they want their taxes to be low. Yes, they want businesses to do well. I want those things too.
Changing the Democrats.
But what these people are asking for
that's
is
a unicorn.
Our first Free State Project mover got elected to the State House in November 2006, and it's just gone from there.
We're definitely aware of the Free State Project.
The first Free Stater to be elected was actually a Democrat.
There's some that are running in my primary right now, so as Democrats, because I thought.
Hold up. They ran as Democrats too? I've heard some people say that. But like that's true. That's a real thing. Like the Free Staters have run as Democrats, like openly. Wow. We need a visual. Yeah, we need a visual on this. This is very interesting to me because I've heard people say that. I've heard other important people say that too. I just figured it was like maybe just like a fringe race or something where they just they put in two of the same people to make sure that they won or something. I don't know. But if that's a regular thing, I mean, that doesn't even make me, because these guys are not organized. I'm telling you, they're just quantity driven and they're on Twitter. So like they'll give their marching orders and they'll go. But this is like a weapon that we could use. Like, you're telling me we can why don't we run as Republicans? Or independents or whatever. Like, again, this is just opening like pathways in my brain right now. Anyway, yeah, let's continue. But yeah, sorry, Marissa, you're muted, by the way. Sorry, the part that you missed, just to tell you, is that they just confirmed that they run as Democrats in the video too. They're like, yeah, they run as Democrats sometimes and win races.
Yeah, like Sinahan's in the comments saying like Sinahan not running as a Dem. Exactly. And I think it's not people like us necessarily who are out in very public, but people who maybe are a little bit less. And I don't think it's not truthful to run as an independent for a lot of folks that consume our content. I think running as an independent is a very truthful way for people to run that I don't think is deceptive. But yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, and listen, I think I have a nuanced view of this, Sinahan, and I certainly agree with you because there is trust at risk here, right? So like tricking, even if you were tricking people from like a moralistic viewpoint, you're still tricking people, right? That's like the philosophical like issue. That's the kind of existential issue there. But what if we told them exactly what we were doing? What if we told them, like, nah, we're Democrats running as Republican, or whatever the strategy. I'm not saying that's even the valid strategy, but I think there are things that play in New Hampshire that make it a little bit different than every other state, or a lot different than every other state. And, fighting fire with fire is something I complain to like my own party about all the time. I never talk about. Yeah, that's important too, and I think that's an important way to look at politics right now. That's populism. I mean, that's populism in a nutshell, really. It's like we don't really talk about those labels, like we don't talk about people, we talk about systems type of thing. And I think that's the natural through line of populism. That's why it speaks to everyone as, the populace, as opposed to just one party. Anything else to add before I continue here, Marissa?
No, let's go for it.
They want to get into office, so they don't want to be honest that they're Free Staters, and they're using the party system to try to get elected, even if they're not aligned with the values of that party.
Some of them call themselves Republicans, but they're not Republicans. They have an agenda that's very different. They've just hitched their wagon to our party.
Our House Majority Leader, Republican Jason Osborne, is a Free State Project member.
I'm not here to dismantle your government. I'm here, I believe, to deliver the product that the people want me to deliver to them. It's like when I took over as leader of the caucus, I told everyone, like, any opinions that I have are out the window now. I don't have opinions anymore. My opinions are your opinions. I'll keep people from trying to whittle away at things that people aren't ready for. Like these secessionist goofballs. If all of a sudden the people of New Hampshire wanted to secede, I would be there for them when that day comes, if ever.
To be fair, he said
in
it
general,
correctly.
government is the problem, not the solution.
We can takes a little bit.
Gary Johnson was the most successful Libertarian Party presidential candidate. But if you think about libertarianism more broadly than the Libertarian Party, certainly Ron Paul.
We had a big wave in 2008. That was sort of the first Ron Paul wave.
I had the first hope that I've ever had, and that was Ron Paul.
I call myself a Ron Paul Republican.
I was a big fan of Ron Paul.
I had the privilege of voting for him because he was different.
Why should we concede to the government that they decide everything that
I want to give you guys perspective on why 2008 had this major Ron Paul movement, the housing crisis. Okay, what do we keep going back to? It was the banking housing crisis, right? Like it was the financial crisis, whatever, where the mortgage companies were like giving mortgages to people that would never be able to pay them, like a lot of risk, and we ended up eating that risk as a population. Again, another bailout for companies, not for us. This is what drives candidates like Ron Paul. When he has an insurgent breakthrough, when Bernie Sanders wins New Hampshire's primary, he's not just winning Democrats there, he's winning Republicans and independents. That is a populist campaign. It's driving at populist issues. That's why it's hard. Even when Ron Paul was around, it was hard to call him a Republican because he was against so many things that the Republicans were regularly for. And I think this is important just to keep this in mind of what's going on in the background when there's insurgent races like this. When he made a big deal in New Hampshire, it was because of the financial crisis.
we do with our own bodies.
And that activated a lot of young people and really was kind of an exciting moment for the movement.
And I voted for Ron Paul.
Ron Paul. Ron Paul.
The campaign of Ron Paul in 2012. Learned what libertarianism was. That was great.
I see myself as just, on occasion, encouraging people who end up doing a lot more for the cause of liberty than I did.
He managed to get into the debates. He was actually heard.
Why don't we have a big tent and welcome those of us who believe in liberty and believe in the Constitution? That's what it's all about, and that's what the Republican Party used to stand for.
Here's a guy saying what it needed to be said. Here's a guy that lives it.
Some things happen that you just can't predict, and that's why I'm excited when people come up with ideas, like the Free State Project. Who knows how much influence that they've had.
We're walking into the Quill. This is one of several libertarian clubhouses.
So we actually bought the building, so the building is now community owned, which sounds awfully commie for a bunch of libertarians. It was the most complicated crypto deal in the history of mankind. And it's just evolved over the years.
All right, hey, the corporate press is here. It's really tough to hate us once you meet us. They promise to be fair and neutral and to be unbiased, as we all know journalists reliably are. But let's.
Sorry, question was asked, how many Free Staters resided here? It depends on who you talk to. Free Staters say as of 2022, Free Staters said there was like around 6,000. I think the general idea is that there's between 7,000 to 9,000 active Free Staters in New Hampshire. I've seen some people say it's higher than that, including them. But it's hard to tell
because there's a lot of sneakiness that happens now. Yeah, when this was filmed, I think this was, what year was this, Arya? 2022, 23 maybe? 22 probably.
Yeah, 22 I think.
It was a different.
Yes.
It was a different time, and I think they were much more out in the open, and now as they have amassed more power, they have also become a lot more secretive in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's be polite, and they're interested in checking out our space. And if the NBC News wants to run an article that says that libertarians have taken over New Hampshire, then we should all be glad about that. So yeah, let's be friendly and welcome them in. Yeah, come on in. Yeah, come check it out.
So tonight is dun dun dun. It's the primary in the 2022 elections.
There are a lot of Free Staters and libertarians running in races. We're all gathered here to kind of be monitoring the returns.
This is like one of the best things in my life. And you can actually affect local change in a way that you really can't on a national level.
For a long time, people thought this is just a fringe group and they're not going to have a lot of impact here. But here they are, and they are on your local ballot.
I'm excited to see how the Free Staters do. I hope they do well, and if they don't, we'll be back. I think we're going to have a good cycle, to be honest. I think people are going to be very unhappy in November.
I just one quick thing before we go into the next one. I want I just want people to get hope from this. I know this is like probably educating people into a little bit of like rage and fear, but I just want you to perceive this video as a maybe blueprint for your own plans, for our plans. These are not, it's not reinventing the wheel, right? Like, these people had a vision. They are high energy in a low turnout atmosphere. That's what we are in. High energy, low turnout. We can do what they're doing better. We are already networking better than they ever did. So I don't want this to be a doomer thing. Like, I want, like, let's perceive, let's
the opposite.
Learn. Yeah, exactly. We're learning from this. All right, this episode's called...
we got more than that on TikTok already. I'm just thinking about the numbers. Even if it is 7,000 to 10,000 Free Staters in New Hampshire, we've got more than that connected on TikTok already.
Absolutely.
I'm Ian Freeman, and I'm the host of a nationally syndicated talk show called Free Talk Live that's heard on a bunch of radio stations all around the country.
Free Talk Live. It is Free Talk Live. Welcome to the show. Here in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
And Arya. Of course, you can bring up anything you want. That is the point here on Free Talk Live.
Arya?
I'm sorry.
Hey, don't touch me. Back up.
Don't touch me.
March 16th, 2021, 6 in the morning.
Get over here to Ian's place. They got FBI here.
I was awakened by smashing glass.
It only took me a minute or two to hop out of bed at 6 a.m. in the morning and get over there. Get over here to Ian's place. I walked literally right up to the house. I didn't cross the street because I was afraid I might get shot.
Keep going. It's not...
What is a safe distance for me?
It's the safe distance. It's back there.
I don't know where that is.
I had just gone to bed, and then I heard a lot of commotion, a lot of screaming.
What is going on? Do you guys normally block the streets for no reason?
There's a crash, and there's this big hunk of metal sticking through my window.
Men with guns were outside, pointing them, threatening, come downstairs, hands up.
They're pointing guns at me and flashlights, standing behind riot shields and shouting, "Arya, it's the FBI, stop moving or we'll open fire."
No, there's a drone, there's a mini drone that they're sending in.
I don't hear my name often outside of like shows. You know,
Get behind there and stay on the sidewalk.
And what's the danger exactly? It was the most egregious use of force I've ever seen, and I've witnessed quite a few atrocities when it comes to law enforcement.
Turn around and put your hands in the air, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that, because if I do that, this blanket's going to fall, and I'm not going to stand here in my underwear in front of the FBI. And like, well, you have to. And I was like, well, I'm not doing it, so here we are.
There were literally like 50 armed FBI, there was an ATF guy, apparently an IRS guy.
And I hear a bunch of people yelling, "Freeze, FBI!" And I look down, there's some red dots on my chest. And I go, yep, I was right. Something's definitely wrong.
Then they asked me about Bitcoin. And at that point I said, yeah, I'm going to do my lawyer now. I'm not answering any more questions. And they arrested me.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
You're under arrest.
What am I under arrest for?
I told you to back up.
It was absolutely horrifying, and all over some victimless financial so-called crimes.
Ian Freeman was arrested alongside 5 other people for the dastardly crime of selling cryptocurrency.
Nobody.
Hey! How do you feel? Yeah! Welcome back, man! Welcome back!
It was 2018 where I first learned that the FBI was investigating me for selling Bitcoin.
What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is the first decentralized digital currency. Bitcoins are digital coins you can send through the internet. Your Bitcoins are kept in your digital wallet on your computer or mobile device.
I didn't think for a moment there was anything wrong with what we were doing, because what we were doing was, from what I could tell, completely legal. I had an attorney at the time, and he wrote a 4-page legal opinion about it. Said, nope, this stuff doesn't apply.
My name is Jeffrey Cohen. I'm a former federal prosecutor, and I'm now an associate professor at Boston College Law School. I wasn't involved in the case of Ian Freeman or the prosecution, but I've read the superseding indictment and researched some of the legal issues. What he was doing was classic money laundering with a modern spin of Bitcoin, which was taking criminal money, washing it, and turning it into something that's totally untraceable as criminal proceeds. It's my understanding that he opened up various bank accounts under the names of different churches. It becomes very suspicious, and banks were filing, I suspect, suspicious activity reports on him, because it would be unusual, I think, for a small church in Keene, New Hampshire to be receiving millions of dollars in donations so quickly.
My name's Mark Edgington. I am one of the hosts of Free Talk Live.
Here in the studio tonight is Ian and Mark.
The Shire Free Church is my idea. One of our advertisers, Roger Veer, began sort of pushing us to accept Bitcoin for ads. And this is a time frame when Bitcoin's $1 per Bitcoin. And Roger paid us $3,500 a month bill with $1 Bitcoins. We kept some Bitcoins, and a few Bitcoins these days is worth a lot of money. Ian and I funded the Shire Free Church to start off with. And Shire Free Church owns Free Talk Live. Selling of Bitcoin was a church mission. I absolutely believe that Bitcoin is a sacrament of our peace church.
So after the Shire Free Church was formed, I came across this technology of the...
I can't believe those are real words that like have left someone's mouth, and it's not like Saturday Night Live.
I watched this so long ago that like I watched this when it first came out, and so I'm seeing some of this stuff again, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is so crazy. I have nothing insightful to add other than
and just to repeat, like it's at 90 grand. Bitcoin's 90K right now, and that's after a huge. I mean, it's 80 right now. I think even after a huge drop, it was over 100 at one point, which I believe. Listen, I'm a big fan of digital currency. Not now. In the future, when it becomes actually of use. Bitcoin would never work like that. But really, Bitcoin, the problematic thing is there's a lot of money laundering that happens. Like there's a lot of illegal activity. That's why, I mean, that's the main focus of a lot of these criminal organizations or organizations like this Peace Church who wants to use it. Nah, they're laundering. This is money laundering. There's no other reason you would want to do it in Bitcoin. You know, either laundering it through companies or like getting illegal contributions or from people that they shouldn't be getting contributions from. Even international contributions. Again, you're talking like this is very untraceable stuff.
Bitcoin vending machine.
This is a device that allows you to purchase different cryptocurrencies with US dollars.
And I thought this is a really cool thing. As peace advocates, believe that cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin, is
L. Ron Hubbard
to forward peace.
Said the easiest way to become a millionaire in this country is to start a church, to start a religion.
Our church service, but we are spreading.
L. Ron Hubbard started Scientology.
A lot of
very
these things
smart
that you
man.
find in religious teachings. Shire Free Church has this space, so this building is owned by the church, and there's a building out on Route 101 that currently houses a convenience store, and then the Bitcoin embassy is located there. Arya4NH lives in the house next door. All of this is owned by the church, and she is the founder of the Reformed Satanic Church of Keene.
I'm Arya4NH. I'm one of the Crypto Six, as we're called.
Here in the studio tonight is Ian
and Arya.
We may be joined by
I host Free Talk Live. I'm a libertarian activist here in New Hampshire, cryptocurrency advocate. And there's liberty activism all over New Hampshire, but only in Keene do you find that level of vibrant, energetic, in-your-face activism.
We are here at the New Hampshire State House. It is June 10th of 2020. I'm here with Arya4NH. Arya, good afternoon. You're about to file for sheriff of Cheshire County to run in the election. What's your plan, or what's your motivation?
All cops are bastards. That's the activism that appeals to me. You know, when I ran for sheriff, it was just a trans-Satanist anarchist, you know, all in your face, and here I am, pay attention to me. We are standing in the Bitcoin embassy. The main attraction of the embassy was really the Bitcoin vending machine, where a person could come in here and anonymously and freely, easily buy Bitcoin. And that was right here, as you can see, where the concrete has been damaged and where some of the bolts that were holding it to the ground were ripped out by the FBI.
So they were able to successfully unbolt the safe from the cement floor. And you can see the Bitcoin symbol on the side of it, so that's definitely it.
ATM is not the right term. It's much more like a vending machine in that you go to this device, you put cash into it, you show it your wallet code for your Bitcoin wallet, and then Bitcoin arrives in your wallet.
We're going to show the address from your digital wallet that's on your phone to the machine. And as quickly as that happened, it read your address.
Oh, okay,
and now it's waiting for you to put in cash.
It literally is like selling a candy bar or a soda. You're just selling a product. And that is one of the reasons why the New Hampshire Banking Commission has stated on the record multiple times, we don't regulate that, because it's just a vending machine, not money transmission.
So the basic scams that were being run sort of around Mr. Freeman was these romance scams in which people outside of the country are convincing elderly, lonely people that they're in love with them and to please send them some money.
The ones that were doing the romance scams, those are the hardest to detect because people are in love. They will say absolutely anything.
Mr. Freeman himself is not involved in those scams.
These people are so deep into these scams. It's so tragic.
What he's doing instead is he's facilitating those scams by being the middleman.
Nothing I could have done would have caught this.
Ian made every effort, from what I can tell, every effort to prevent scammers from being involved in his process.
I would have this whole list of things like, are you under duress? Is there a third party involved in this? Is somebody putting you up to this? Have you heard of a romance scam before? Have you ever met your husband? You know, sometimes they would say, oh yeah, I'm buying this for my husband. I said, it's not really any of my business, but I have to ask, have you ever met your husband?
The operating and unlicensed money transmitting charge, that was a bigger concern for me because I openly had been selling Bitcoin. I made a video here in this very embassy instructing people on exactly how to do what I was doing. Hi, so I'm Arya4NH, the High Priestess of the Reformed.
I'm sorry, I'm stopping this so much. I feel like I have to add context here. Like, even with me talking about what these people are doing and without talking about the individual details of this case, don't get it twisted. The FBI and the US government is not interested in cracking down on you because you're money laundering. They're interested in cracking down on you because they're not getting a taste of this unregulated money, okay? Because it's not going through their banking system. It's decentralized. They're not making their fees and whatever. So there are two, again, I want to make clear that two things can be true at the same time. I can think that they're using Bitcoin to launder money in illegal activities that are very bad. And I can also believe that the New Hampshire banking and the FBI got involved here because they're not interested in justice here. The whole argument from the America against Bitcoin isn't really the laundering part of it. It's we want a piece of it, right? Like, we won't get a piece of it. It's a big part of America's power in the world is like sanctions and the dollar. They use the dollar as a weapon. Bitcoin is a way for countries and entities to get away from that.
A church here at the Bitcoin Embassy, located in Keene, New Hampshire, that's owned by the Shire Free Church. And I'm going to teach you how to sell Bitcoin, how to do what I do, because I'm pretty upfront about doing this. I didn't think that I needed a business license. I didn't think that what I was doing constituted money transmission.
Current full name is Richard Goyen, Goyan Paul.
What name do you wish to take?
Nobody. It's a combination of performance art and protest.
All right. Well, go ahead and grant your request, and you are now officially nobody.
My name's Nobody. I'm a computer programmer. My last job was working in South Carolina for Citibank in 2007 when the housing crash was going on. That pretty much woke me up to the horror that is the modern American system of government. I moved up to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project. I did not tell the banks that I was trading in Bitcoin. They charged me with 4 counts of wire fraud.
Today is supposed to be the pretrial conference, and it's expected to take about 2 weeks, the trial. If I weren't optimistic, I would have done what everyone else does and taken a plea deal.
They refused to take prison off the table, and they were like, we're going to bring more charges against you if you don't take this plea deal.
The deal was I plead guilty to the lowest charge, so-called wire fraud, for the amount of $40,000, and they drop all the other charges. And because I've already spent 7 months in jail, they said they expected I wouldn't do any further time.
Even though my co-defendants took guilty pleas, they didn't do that because they actually did anyone any harm or created any kind of victims. They did it because they were afraid to be up against what could be a life sentence in prison for completely victimless crimes. When the state puts all of its weight against you, it's a pretty intimidating process.
Today is the trial of Ian Freeman, one of the Crypto 6 defendants. I was almost the Crypto 7, yeah. Ian Freeman, back in 2016, he said, would you want to open some bank accounts to help raise money for the Shire Free Church? And I said I would if we got the licenses. You know, because I said I think the government's going to want us to be licensed on this one, even though I don't agree with it.
Hey guys, good morning.
He is the foundation of this community.
Hello everybody, thanks for coming.
Ian Freeman is definitely a hero. He's one of my favorite activists in this Free State Project. He's done more than most people that I can think of.
It would be a tragedy to see him, locked up in a cage. I mean, I don't want to think about that. That's just, yeah. I have no idea what I would do.
Free the Crypto 6! Woo! Bitcoin is not a crime. Free the Crypto 6!
So we're on day number 5. So far, Mark Sisti, who's just a pro defense attorney, he's been just making these FBI agents look so shifty. It's not about saving grandma from fraudsters. It's about shutting down Bitcoin.
I found out about the Free State Project because of Ian and Free Talk Live, and he was one of the people that convinced me to his way of freedom and his principles and his ideas.
Clearly, banks were involved in every one of these transactions. They never were successful in stopping these scammers. A 20-year FBI agent couldn't catch a scammer. Why is Ian Freeman responsible for catching them?
I'm a member of the Shire Free Church, and I'm really pissed off because they said it's not a legitimate church.
My favorite part today is every one of you showing up here today in support of the Crypto 6 and of Ian Freeman and of Bitcoin and of freedom in general. You can go after Ian Freeman all you want. We're not going anywhere. We're going to remain, and we're going to continue to fight for freedom. That's my favorite part of today.
Well, we got a verdict from the jury, guilty on all counts.
He's convicted of 8 counts. We're going to be appealing each and every one of them, and we look forward to bringing that appeal to the attention of the First Circuit.
I spent last night at his house. This is my best friend in the world, and to hear that took my breath away.
We're certainly disappointed in the verdict, but we'll take care of it.
Is it true they have a person? No, it's going to be an app this time. Phone app. It's going to check in on me randomly a few times a day, and I got to respond within 15 minutes.
Chapter in the story, but not the final.
It says I got to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for fighting a good fight, man.
I think that the jury ended up believing the governors.
And I
Thank you
think
to
we
everybody who supported
traceability. And so
we're coming towards the end here, but I think we said it was like you posted something in the chat, right, Marissa, about like what the actual, it was like 3.5 million he has to pay back in restitution or something.
Yeah, it was just an update. Yeah, if you scroll up a little bit, ordered, 3.5 million.
All right, here it is. Yeah, so this is the updated thing. This is the pretty much the end of the episode. We're coming towards the end of our time, so we're gonna like wrap up. We have like maybe 2 episodes left, maybe, and we'll run that next week. We're not gonna have a stream on Friday. I might have a stream any one of these days. I might have a stream even tonight. I've been trying to go in the evening, and I just get distracted. But yeah, this is still ongoing. This is as of 2024, I think. This article that he had to end up paying 3.5 million. And just the very last thing I want to say on these scenes where they were talking about the nobody guy, and they were talking about how like the housing crisis 2007, and again, just touching again on what was happening in the background, which was the financial crisis. That is not that far away here. Like we are like the next financial crisis is probably going to be AI. And it's going to be a couple of these companies like OpenAI, ChatGPT, that has been burning money at a historic pace without anything to show for it. There are some companies out there that are doing it right. Some open source companies, again, are just killing it without having to spend that much money. And soon the jig is going to be up on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to be what brings everything down. In my opinion, I'm not a stock expert, economic expert. I have pattern recognition, and I've seen bubbles happen in the market. I just have 2 quick announcements, and I'll throw it to you, Marissa, for the end of this. I appreciate you guys as always for being in the stream with us, especially on the day before Thanksgiving. I have 2 events to talk about. The first one is the holiday stroll in Nashua, where I live. It's a great event that happens every winter. And Main Street and the community of Main Street, I mean, it's such a vibrant community. It's become so walkable. It's become so beautiful. I try to get as many people to come here and check it out when they can, just because it's a great event, and you get in touch with the community a little bit more. Like you'll just be more with the locals, and it always makes me feel good to be at the winter stroll. And then the other event is Saturday, December 6th. I'm gonna shame Marissa just like she shamed me to show up at these events. I will be making sure she comes to this event. This is Saturday, December 6th at the UU Church in Nashua. It's for Paige Boschman. I am working on her campaign, full transparency. But this is for a great event. This is for a great cause. This is a clothing drive. We know the winter is here. New Hampshire is brutal. We know the stats on housing. We know the stats on the homelessness and on the poverty. And everything that we can do. And part of what makes me so proud to be in this campaign is that this isn't just these events that we do. The priority is not the campaign. The priority is mutual aid. Like we're going to put focus on every single one of these events to do something of use. We don't want, I mean, obviously we could always use donations to the campaign, but if you had $1 and you could only spend it somewhere, we prefer you to spend it on the people that need it. And that's why these events are really important, to bring the community together and really work towards a North Star, a positive North Star. So I hope to see you guys all there. I'm going to be there. She might be there. We'll see. We'll see how we're feeling about that.
Most likely. I have a good excuse. I'm planning on being there. And one other thing that's cool, I love that Paige is doing the mutual aid. I like that it's such a big part of all of her events. She's also said she's going to be having babysitting at all of her events, which I think is so cool. So you could bring your kid, have them go play off in the corner. So that's my plan. Is I am planning on being there. And would love to meet some folks that are over in the Nashua area of the state that haven't been able to come out to any of our Seacoast events. So I am also like committed to kind of trying to get out and about in the state more and get more FaceTime with folks from other places. My toddler's breaking down the door, so I gotta go.
That's all good.
But
Absolutely.
I love you guys. I appreciate you. I will see you all. Have a great Thanksgiving, and that's it. Eat some stuff. Talk about how rich people cause all of our problems. All right.
Slay
It's
the
not the- it's not
family.
just the Repub-
Slay the family this Thanksgiving in the battlefield of ideas. Okay, I love you guys. Talk to you. Bye.
Why? Gotta get one last use of it, huh?
Exactly. You know it. You fucking know it.